Gaan hy, ja. Wat jy nou net afgewaai. Wat? Gaan hy. Hoe is daai vir timing?
Emergency teams in the Eastern Cape rescued 49 people and several animals after rising floodwaters trapped residents around Kingsway Resort on the Gamtoos River near Jeffreys Bay. The response began at 1:40 on Friday, the 8th of May, when NSRI EOC, Emergency Operations Center, and the NSRI Oyster Bay duty crew were activated following reports that multiple people and animals were trapped by rising water from heavy rainfall. Additional emergency calls were received by control centers and police stations as conditions worsened. All crew alerts were sent to NSRI Gqeberha, NSRI Jeffreys Bay, NSRI St. Francis Bay, and NSRI Oyster Bay. The SA Police Services, EC Government Health, EMS, Eastern Cape, Private Ambulance Services, DRM, Disaster Risk Management, Kouga Municipality, Kouga Fire and Rescue Services, Rescue SA, Police Divers, WWPDS, Water Policing and Diving Services, Police Search and Rescue, Police K9, Search and Rescue, Police Sea Borderline Control, and the Police Air Wing were also activated. Initial reports suggested at least 40 people and animals were trapped at Kingsway Resort and at nearby homes and farmsteads, with roads out of the area flooded and inaccessible. The wider flood zone stretched through the Baviaanskloof Valley, across Kouga Dam, through Patensie, and down toward the Gamtoos River Mouth between Jeffreys Bay and Gqeberha. Rescue teams estimated that 60 people were at risk during the operation. In total, 49 people were rescued, including the oldest person aged 80 and the youngest aged 5. An undetermined number of animals were also rescued, including dogs, cats, parrots, and some livestock. At least an additional 15 people refused to be relocated.
Right,
no major injuries and no fatalities were reported.
Lots of debris coming down
Paramedics checked rescued people as they reached the staging area. Rescue crews faced difficult terrain, fast-flowing water, and farm fences surrounding the affected area. NSRI crew members in wetsuits reached approximately 1.6 kilometers from the affected area by road before wading and swimming along roadways to assess the situation. 3 NSRI rescued jet ribs from NSRI St. Francis Bay, NSRI Jeffreys Bay, and NSRI Gqeberha were deployed with 15 NSRI rescue swimmers. NSRI Crocs, SARSA, Search and Rescue South Africa, police divers with additional Crocs, Kouga Fire and Rescue Services, EMS rescue squads, and local Good Samaritans formed part of the coordinated operation. Fast-flowing water prevented Crocs from being used between the staging area and the affected resort, forcing rescuers to rely on NSRI jet ribs. As evacuations began, jet ribs carried people and animals across sections of the flood area before transferring casualties to Crocs for onward movement to safety. As daylight arrived, a police helicopter joined the operation and rescued people at various stages while ground teams continued working. During the initial daylight hours, a separate emergency was raised for a household further upstream where a family was trapped on a roof. NSRI Oyster Bay, NSRI St. Francis Bay, Crocs, SARSA personnel, police divers, and NSRI rescue swimmers reached the family and safely evacuated them. Kouga Municipality ordered residents in the Gamtoos Valley to evacuate after Kouga Dam exceeded capacity levels. Residents of Kingsway Village, Big Fish, Gamtoos Mouth Resort, Ferry Hotel, and all low-lying areas in the Gamtoos Valley were urged to leave. More than 100 millimeters of rain had fallen across the region. Kouga Executive Mayor Hadding Bornman urged residents in low-lying communities along the Gamtoos River to evacuate immediately. The Kouga Dam is currently at 113% and overflowing extremely fast, and we are asking as a precautionary measure for all people in low-lying areas on the Gamtoos River to please evacuate their residences as soon as possible, Bornman said. Evacuation shelters were opened at Katrina Felix Hall in Thornhill and the Loerie Community Hall. Katrina Felix Hall served residents from the Ferry Hotel area, Loerie Community Hall served residents from Loerie and the lower Gamtoos areas, and Vuyelwa Hall in Hankey accommodated residents evacuated from the Weston and Centerton areas. Residents in immediate danger or requiring evacuation assistance were urged to contact the Kouga call center on 0422002200 or SAPS on 10111. Authorities also warned residents around the Kromme River, estuary and Kromme River Mouth to exercise caution as heavy rain affected river systems from upstream areas, including Tsitsikamma, down to St. Francis Bay. The public was urged to avoid launching boats, swimming, surfing, and other sports activities along the Kromme River and around the Kromme River mouth. Bathers, boaters, surfers, and the wider public were asked to stay away from dangerous water conditions, strong swollen river flows, and natural debris moving downstream and into the sea. Boardman issued a direct warning for residents near both river systems. Kromme River and Gamtoos River in the low-lying areas, please evacuate as soon as possible, he said. The Kromme River, the levels are rising very fast there, so we want to urge residents to please get to safety. Do not take chances. He said canal levels were being monitored, but were not yet under threat. The canals at this stage and the levels we see are rising, but it's not under threat yet. The biggest concern is the river's low-lying areas along the Kromme River itself, he said. The flooding caused widespread damage across Kouga and surrounding areas. Humansdorp, Hankey and Jeffreys Bay were among the hardest hit areas. Homes were flooded, roads were washed away, and infrastructure sustained severe damage. It's incredible, the amount of damage our infrastructure has sustained. Roads have been washed away, and areas like the one behind us have been severely affected, said Haddington Bornman. Our teams have been working throughout the night for the past 2 nights, trying to evacuate people and assist where roads have been blocked by fallen trees or flood damage to ensure they remain accessible. Bornman said Humansdorp was likely the hardest hit area. Many people have suffered damage to their homes, and our infrastructure has taken a severe beating there, he said. But here in Hankey, there is also major flooding, and houses are being evacuated or have already been evacuated. The R102 was completely blocked by flooding on the Gamtoos River, and the municipality urged anyone traveling between Jeffreys Bay and Nelson Mandela Bay to use the N2 instead. Bornman also told the public, please do not travel at this stage unless absolutely necessary. Unconfirmed reports in the provided information indicated further road closures. The R102 between Ferry Hotel and Thornhill was reportedly completely closed. Both bridges on the R331 at Weston and Patensie were reportedly submerged and impassable. The R330 between Hankey and Humansdorp was reportedly closed at the Hankey Bridge, and multiple access roads into Loerie and Weston were reportedly cut off by rising water. Flooding also affected farming areas. Farmers were urged to move livestock, equipment, and machinery to safer areas to prevent major losses. In the supplied reports, farmland near the Gamtoos River was described as submerged, with livestock, equipment, and homes affected. On Thursday, the 7th of May, the Department of Water and Sanitation confirmed that Kouga Dam had reached 120.6% of its storage capacity, with peak outflows recorded at 2,491 cubic meters per second, equivalent to a 1 in 50-year flood event. Department spokesperson Weston Mavasa said the dam remained structurally sound and was operating as designed. Kouga Dam is a 72-meter-high double-curvature concrete arch dam equipped with an uncontrolled spillway and 2 radial gates. Mavasa said the spillway alone can discharge more than 6,100 cubic meters per second before reaching the non-overspill crest, which was more than double the flow at the time of the statement. Even in the unlikely event of overtopping, the integrity of the dam would not be compromised, she said. The department chose not to operate the dam's radial gates because of alkali aggregate reaction in the concrete, a condition that causes swelling and could prevent the gates from closing safely. Operating the gates under these conditions may create challenges in safely closing them, potentially resulting in permanent loss of storage capacity, Mavasa said. The department continues to closely monitor inflows, reservoir levels, and the dam's structural behavior, she said. The department said Kouga Dam remains safe, stable, and fully operational, and that all necessary measures are in place to protect downstream communities. The floods formed part of a broader severe weather emergency affecting the Eastern Cape and Garden route, where heavy rain, flooding, rough seas, and snow disrupted communities, transport routes, and public services. More than 2,000 flood victims were accommodated in 25 emergency shelters across Nelson Mandela Bay. More than 1,500 residents had already been evacuated from flood-affected communities by Wednesday evening, with shelters established at Missionvale Primary School, Kleinskool, Lilian Ngoyi Community Hall in KwaZakhele, Xaba Hall in Langa, Kabah Living Waters Church in Kariega, Airport Valley in Walmer Town Hall, and Kouga Community Facilities. Gift of the Givers spokesperson Ali Sable said, more than 2,000 flood victims are currently being accommodated in 25 emergency shelters across the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro. Gift of the Givers drop-off centers have been set up at the Nelson Mandela Bay Business Chamber, Boardwalk Mall, and the Engen Garage next to the Chief Dawood Stoorman International Airport. Humanitarian organizations and disaster management teams appealed for long-life milk, cereal, drinking water, nappies, baby wipes, toiletries, blankets, and mattresses. Required items also included water, non-perishable food, toiletries, nappies, bedding, and clothing. Nelson Mandela Bay beaches were placed under temporary precautionary closure due to dangerous coastal conditions linked to Level 6 and Level 8 weather warnings issued by the South African Weather Service. Residents were warned to stay away from beaches, rocky shorelines, and tidal pools because of high swells, rough surf, dangerous rip currents, and coastal flooding. Several municipal cemeteries were also closed from the 7th of May 2026 until further notice due to adverse weather, flooding, and waterlogged ground. The affected cemeteries were Wells Estate, Bluewater Bay, Motherwell, New Brighton, KwaZakhele, Vplas, Papenkuils, Kabah, Gerald Smith, and Dispatch. Emergency and disaster response teams remained deployed across the affected region. NSRI, police, DRM, municipal services, and emergency services were on high alert during heavy rainfall affecting the area and at times over the following week. The South African Weather Service issued multiple impact-based warnings for Thursday, 7th of May, 2026. An orange level 8 warning for disruptive rainfall remained in place over Kukama, Kouga, and Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, with widespread flooding of roads, settlements, and bridges expected. Additional orange and yellow rain warnings covered inland municipalities, while snow warnings ranging from yellow level 2 to orange level 5 affected parts of the Drakensberg and surrounding districts. Strong, damaging winds and dangerous coastal conditions were forecast along coastal and inland areas, including the stretch between Plettenberg Bay and Port Edward, where rough seas threatened ports, harbors, and beachfront infrastructure. Authorities appealed to motorists and the public not to cross floodwaters, roadways, or bridges submerged underwater. The public was urged to avoid unnecessary travel, follow SAWS, SA Weather Services, weather alerts and warnings, and monitor municipal warnings and alerts issued for public safety. During the Gamtoos rescue operation, the N2 Wind Farm Service Station supplied KFC, steers, coffee, and soup to rescue crews and rescued people. Local farmers with tractors and heavy machinery, residents in 4x4 vehicles, the local community, and Good Samaritans also supported rescue efforts. Displaced people and animals were being assisted through a coordinated effort with the municipality until it was safe to return.